Hello, Maverick fans. Welcome to another episode of the Mav Puck Cast. I am John. I am here once again with Bridget, and we got to experience an exciting series at Baxter Arena this weekend against the Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs, a big conference matchup. But before we get to our breakdown of that series, we've got to talk about our official merchandise sponsor for the Mav Puck Cast this season, Lawler's Custom Sportswear. Bridge, you and I visited the Lawler's Custom Sportswear booth this weekend at Baxter Arena, as we typically do during home hockey weekends, and you picked up some merchandise.
You say I picked up some merchandise. I picked up some merchandise for you, and I picked up some merchandise for Scotland. I see you're sporting that Ludke Brothers 771 hat, and Scotland got herself a new little beanie.
Yeah, we were looking at the merchandise, and Scotland found a gray Maverick beanie that she liked. And I wanted to get one of the Ludke Brothers 771 hats that they are selling through Lawler's Custom Sportswear. And Bridget got both Scotland and I our new merchandise. So thanks, Mom.
You're welcome. Next time it's my turn.
And if you would like to get a new beanie, one of the Ludke Brothers 771 caps, or any other of the great Maverick merchandise that Pat Lawler has for sale each season at his store and at the Baxter Arena booth, you can find information on store hours and information on the merchandise available at lawlerscustom.com. But turning to that weekend series against Minnesota Duluth, last weekend on the podcast, you and I talked about our trip up to St. Cloud, where we saw UNO win a thrilling game in overtime on Friday night and then win an exciting shootout on Saturday night up there. And UNO comes back to Baxter Arena brimming with momentum. We're hoping it's going to carry over going into that first period on Friday night. 5:36 into the first, Jack Randall gets a shorthanded goal, assist to Joe LeMay, key tone setter for UNO early, Bridge.
Yeah, it looked kind of bleak for Omaha when Michael Abgral took a 5-minute major for boarding with just 17:33 left in the first period. But what a turnaround of fortunes. As someone said on Twitter, oh, how the turntables have turned, with Jack Randall getting that shorthanded goal and really setting Baxter Arena on fire.
Oh yeah, an exciting moment to get that shorty for UNO, and great to be able to kill off that 5-minute power play, because you never know what's going to happen when a team has that all-you-can-eat power play against you. And then 13-10 into the first, D-man Kirby Proctor fires it in from the blue line, puts UNO up 2-0. I know you were impressed with Kirby Proctor all weekend, Bridge.
I sure was. He really made the most of a really key play by Zach Erdahl and assist to Nolan Sullivan on that play too. But firing it in from the blue line, we always say put pucks on net and good things happen. And that certainly was the case for Kirby on Friday night.
Yeah, two of our veteran players performing early, and that's what you need this time of year. As you get into this stretch run in the NCHC, you need those guys who are grizzled veterans who have a lot of conference play under their belt to step up and kind of take the team on their shoulders and pull the underclassmen with them and get things done. With a little under 3 minutes left in the first, UMD's Matthew Perkins narrows UNO's lead 2-1. It's 2-1 going into intermission. The second period was scoreless, but Duluth had what looked like a goal 7:15 into the second period.
Yeah, this was an interesting for those of us who sit in section 216, because we had a pretty good view of this. And Jolene was helping with camera action on Friday night. We had a lot of people walking around during play, and she happened to capture that play on her phone. And when we looked back, we agreed with Director of Hockey Operations Brian Suslow, he got the message down to the UNO bench that that was a potential offsides, and Coach Gabinet issued a challenge that ultimately was successful.
2-1 UNO after that second period, but 3:09 into the third period. Tanner Ludke puts a rebound in from a shot by Jack Randall. It's 3-1 UNO. Good to see Tanner Ludke get another point in the game.
Yeah, speaking of points, Tanner Ludke extended his 8-game point streak with that goal. And what a key goal it was for the Mavs to give them that ever important 2-goal lead.
Absolutely. It was a chippy third period. Lots of extracurricular activities on the ice during that third. It was a heated matchup, but like we said, these are heated conference matchups right now. 9 penalties called in that third period. 18:06 into the period, with the Minnesota Duluth goaltender pulled, UNO's Zach Erdahl gets the empty net goal, puts UNO up 4-1, essentially seals the deal there in the closing minutes of the game. Just to add a cherry on top of that frosting, Jimmy Glynn, with about 20 seconds left in the game, puts the puck in on Minnesota Duluth Zach Stejskal. The Mavs win 5-1. I would say, Bridge, probably one of the best performances we've seen offensively from UNO this season.
I'd agree with that assessment. Definitely had a lot of scoring opportunities. There were several opportunities that didn't go in. Erdahl had a breakaway in the second that easily could have put them up another one there, but UNO was relentless in their attack on Friday night and just kept pouring on the goals, and it was great to see.
So going into the Saturday game, we were hopeful. You and I both picked a sweep for UNO on last week's episode of the Mav Puckcast, but you never know what's going to happen. And like we said, it was chippy on Friday night. 17 seconds into the first, defenseman Kirby Proctor again shoots the puck in from the FNBO logo. It's 1-0 UNO early, Bridge.
Yeah, that was Kirby's, of course, second goal of the weekend, his 5th on the season. Mueller won the faceoff, and Kirby just snapped a shot from way out there, and just great to see him having success this season.
Last half of the first, it felt like the Bulldogs really were kind of controlling play in the latter stages of that first period. 14:38 into the first, UMD's Connor McMenamin fires it in from the slot and ties the game up 1-0. It looked like maybe it was going to be a back and forth game there. And then 16:56 into that first period, so just a couple minutes later, junior Zach Erdahl, who you and I have been impressed with, puts UNO back up 2-1. He picks up the trash down low. A great goal for Zach Erdahl.
Yeah, he's really come in clutch this second half of the season. He has 7 goals on the season, and that was, of course, his second of the weekend. And 5 of those 7 goals have come since the first of the year. So he is definitely a key contributor to the Mavs offense and couldn't come at a better time, John.
Absolutely. So happy he transferred to UNO from Wisconsin. Assist to Matt Miller and Nolan Sullivan on that goal. So UNO was up 2-1. So going into that second period, only 1 goal scored in the second, but it was a big one. 8:37 in, defenseman Nolan Krenzen fired in a shot from the blue line. Tyler Rollwagon deflects it into the net to put UNO up 3-1. Really, really good position for UNO to be in, and a really important goal. That 2-goal gap, I think, was really important in kind of holding off UMD.
Great timing for Rollwagon to get his 3rd goal of the season. He's really come on strong these last couple games as well. He has a goal and an assist in the last 4 games, and Cam Mitchell got an assist on that one as well. So like you said, really timely goal, and helped pad Omaha's lead at a time when they really needed it.
Yeah, nice to see Tyler doing well. Nice to see a guy who's kind of down roster that we don't talk about a lot. Cam Mitchell really had some big contributions this weekend. So that's great to see. UNO up 3-1 going into the third period. UMD tried to mount a comeback 139 in with the team skating 4-on-4. UMD's Blake Biondi narrows the lead to 3-2. It was kind of nip tuck back and forth. Certainly UNO had opportunities, Minnesota Duluth had opportunities, but 18:33 into the period, after Minnesota Duluth had pulled their goaltender, Omaha's Jesse Lansdale gets an empty netter shot from deep in our defensive zone to put the Mavs up 4-2 late. What did you think about UNO's performance in that third period, Bridge?
Well, one of the things that was really different about Saturday night is the lack of penalties called. And you and I had talked about that going into this series, that obviously UMD has a really strong power play unit. And so to keep UMD scoreless on their power play on Friday night, they had 3 opportunities and didn't convert on any of them. And then to basically have the officials put their whistles away on Saturday night, I think really benefited Omaha. They also benefited from the strong goaltending play of Simon Licozzi. He recorded his 1,000th save on Friday night, but he came up with some really key ones, especially in that third period on Saturday night, to keep the Mavs in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Only 2 penalties called the entire night, and those penalties were on, they were roughing penalties on Tanner Ludke and Luke Lowhite at the end of that second period, and that's why the teams were skating 4-on-4 to start the third period. So kind of crazy, one night you've got all kinds of penalties, Saturday nights you don't. And I got to tell you, as fans, you kind of love to see that 5-on-5 hockey. I know I do. So yeah. I will tell you, after that Lansdale empty net goal, with 1 minute left, UMD narrowed the lead to 4-3 with the extra attacker on the ice. It was kind of crazy. And then there was this kind of bizarre sequence of events with puck drop on a face-off, which did seem to kind of be an issue for the
Zebras this weekend.
Yeah.
They seem to have an issue with dropping the puck this weekend, but we've seen that before. That's nothing new. But yes, with about 2.5 seconds left in regulation, there was a puck drop and then almost an immediate whistle. Then they put the time back on the clock again, and so we had to relive those nail-biter last couple seconds over again. But fortunately, the Mavs were able to hold off and get that key 4-3 victory over Duluth, securing the sweep on the weekend.
Yeah, big sweep. 2 regulation wins, which is not only huge for the points race in the conference standings, but is also big for the pairwise rankings, which is how the NCAA tournament is determined. So our first NCHC sweep of the season. I know some people are going to look to last week and they're going to be like, well, but didn't we sweep St. Cloud? We won in overtime on Friday, and then we tied after the 3-on-3 overtime on Saturday in that St. Cloud series, and then we won a shootout for the extra conference points. So not officially a sweep, but big sweep on the weekend. And Bridget and I were excited. The fans were thrilled with this performance, and certainly the coaching staff and the player have to be excited, especially after that Denver series at Baxter Arena a couple weeks ago. So big sweep for UNO. Any final thoughts on the series, Bridge?
I just want to give a shout out to all the fans in attendance both nights, especially Friday night on that big stage of national television coverage on CBS Sportsnet. We were watching back some of the highlights, and you can hear that UNO chant echoing through Baxter Arena. Fan support is really a key for this team. They feed on the crowd energy. Mike Gabinet and several of the players in the post-game interviews both mentioned that helps give them a little extra bump. So as we come down to the end of this season with 4 more home games remaining, I just want to encourage all fans to make sure that they're in their seats and getting loud.
Absolutely right. And Saturday night was a sellout game too. So big crowds all weekend long. Great for the players, great for the atmosphere and the vibe. A lot of fun. But Bridge, we've got to turn to our players of the week. Who did you like this weekend in UNO's sweep against Minnesota Duluth at Baxter Arena?
Well, as you mentioned when we were doing the rundown of the games, there was a lot to like out of the players this weekend. We had multiple guys with multiple points on the weekend. Last week, my player pick, Jack Randall, of course, stayed hot. which we love to see that from him. But I'm going to choose somebody who had a really standout weekend, not just with his offensive performance, but also defensively. And that's your grizzled veteran graduate defenseman, Kirby Proctor, with a 4-point weekend.
In his final season for UNO, it's neat to see him having success here and making a difference for UNO down the stretch. So that's awesome. 5 goals and 6 assists for the D-man this season. We absolutely love Kirby Proctor, and that is a great pick. I've got to go with sophomore forward Tyler Rollwagon. He had a big goal on Saturday night, as we mentioned during our breakdown segment there, to put UNO up 3-1. And I think that was really critical for UNO coming out with the win on Saturday night. He also set up what was almost a goal for sophomore forward Cam Mitchell. So it's nice to see some of those guys that we don't constantly drool over in the lineup doing well and having success, and he's coming along really well as a sophomore. 3 goals and 5 assists on the season. I was wearing my lucky Rollwagon jersey that I got in the Leap for a Cure auction last season. The Mavs have not lost since I've worn that jersey this season, so I pull it out when I think the boys need a big win, Bridge.
Yeah, the lucky Rollwagon jersey that should be hanging in the Rollwagon family rec room, as you put it once.
Absolutely right. Every so often you'll run into parents in the lobby, or when we're at road games, we'll run into the parents. And so we've run into the Rollwagon family before, and they love seeing the jersey. And I feel so bad because I feel like it should be in the Rollwagon family rec room with all of the other Tyler Rollwagon memorabilia that I'm sure that they have. But great picks, lots of great performances this weekend, in particular from veteran players like Jack Randall. Jimmy Glenn had a big weekend. It's nice to see that happen for the Mavs. But we've got to turn to our things you missed at Baxter Arena. And one of the things that I have been meaning to point out is that during the second half of this season, the Figure Skating Club of Omaha has been back to perform during intermission. They've had a couple of skaters since the beginning of the year, but Saturday nights, the Figure Skating Club of Omaha had multiple skaters on the ice because they did a little routine medley from Frozen on Ice. What did you think of that? I know Frozen is one of our favorite Disney musicals.
It is. And, we've talked in the past about how fun it is to have little kid hockey on the ice during the intermissions. And there were a lot of little kids from the Figure Skating Club of Omaha that were on the ice. We also had Anna and Elsa and Olaf, and it was an opportunity for kind of a fun sing-along for the fans as well. So again, I don't think it's necessarily something that I think they should do every weekend, but once or twice a season, if they want to put on a play on ice, we'll take it, because it turned out to be pretty lucky for the Mavs.
Absolutely right. I love the creative thinking of Mike West and company, who handled the marketing in UNO athletics. So it's kind of a neat deal. That's not something we see normally when we go around college hockey. So that's kind of a fun deal. I think fans really enjoy it. And yeah, great. So a great job by the Figure Skating Club of Omaha. We enjoy seeing their skaters perform during intermissions at Baxter Arena. And for the first time in forever, Bridge, that's all we've got for our things you missed at Baxter Arena segment. But there is something that we're going to be missing long-term in the future, and that is going to be the departure of game MC Andrew Rogers. You all will know Andrew Rogers. If you don't know him by name, you'll know him as the young, enthusiastic guy on the ice who shouts, "Make some noise." He always brings a lot of energy in his MC duties during the game. You and I love Andrew Rogers. I know he can be an acquired taste for some fans, but he's a really good guy. We went to one of the UNO Maverick events that Hurrdat Sports, which is the company that Andrew Rogers works for, at the Hurrdat Sports Bar in La Vista. And we got a chance to chat with Andrew at that event. He chatted with us about an hour this last fall at that event, and it was neat to catch up with him, get to know him a little bit better. And he is not going to be handling the MC duties at UNO hockey games.
I'm sad to see him go. Like you said, there was kind of a running joke the first couple times that he was out there. I would tweet, make some noise with lots of Z's and exclamation points. But when you really need the crowd fired up, Andrew could be counted on to do that. I loved how he got the jersey with "Make Some Noise" on it, and just leaned into that. What a great guy with a great future ahead of him. He definitely will be missed, and always will be part of Maverick hockey history.
Yeah, not exactly sure what the future holds for Andrew Rogers, but it's been great to see his contributions at UNO hockey games. A good guy. Good to get to know him. He's part of Maverick hockey lore now. So someday down the road, Bridge, we're going to be saying, hey, you remember Andrew Rogers at the game? He'd do the "Make Some Noise," and he had "Make Some Noise" on the back of his UNO jersey. We wish him all the best. Hopefully, we'll see him around Baxter Arena soon. But before our next series at Baxter Arena, the Mavericks hit the road again, this time to Kalamazoo, Michigan, for a February 9th and 10th series against the Western Michigan Broncos at Lawson Ice Arena. Look, Western Michigan's a team we're very familiar with. We took a number of trips up there. The Broncos split last weekend out at Magnus Arena against Denver, so that was a good result for them. They put up a lot of goals in that Saturday night game out at DU. Their Bridge. They are 16-9-1 overall and 7-9-0 in conference play.
Yeah, and traditionally Western is pretty strong at home, but they're about even on their home and road record this year, which is kind of surprising. They have the Lawson Lunatics, which is their student section, which have some not G-rated chants that they direct at opposing players, especially those in the penalty box, which makes it a very lively atmosphere for visiting teams. And like you said, we've experienced that ourselves personally in the past. And I can tell you there's some new and transfer Mavs that have quite the eye-opening road trip ahead of them.
Yeah, one of those old school barns, mostly bleacher seats. I think it was built in the 1970s, low ceiling, kind of one of those great kind of, Nixon era venues. I know that there are potentially plans for them to move to a new arena. I believe in a development that's going on in downtown Kalamazoo. So Western Michigan is currently fifth in the NCHC with 25 points. UNO's in sixth with 21. So we're right behind them now after a good couple of weekends in that conference race, only 4 points behind them. And currently 6 points separates the third place team in the NCHC from the sixth place team in the NCHC. So it's a real jumble there. Right now, Colorado College is in third. Denver is in fourth, which is hard to believe considering the offensive firepower that they have. So yeah, it's a battle right there for the third and fourth home spots in the NCHC conference race. Looking at the pairwise rankings, which we were talking about before, because ultimately beyond the conference playoffs, and we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but UNO is the host school at the Sioux Falls Regional this year in the NCAA tournament. So if they get into the tournament, regardless of what seed they are, they will be in that regional, which is very close to Omaha. I know if fingers crossed, if UNO was able to make it, a lot of fans would be up there cheering them on, supporting them on, which could be huge for the team. Omaha is currently 18th in the pairwise. Western is currently 11th. As I mentioned before, you need to be 13th, 14th, or higher in the pairwise rankings in order to get an at-large bid, considering auto bids from some of the smaller, weaker conferences in the NCAA.
Yeah, real opportunity for Omaha this weekend, not just to move up in the NCHC standings, but with favorable outcomes at Lawson to also potentially make that move up in the pairwise as well.
Yeah, big opportunity here for the team to keep chipping away. WMU head coach Pat Ferschweiler, who's at the helm of the Broncos, seems like a really good guy. We followed him on Twitter for years. I've watched a number of the video clips and press conference deals that he has done. He is 65, 36 and 3 in 3 seasons at Western. He has led the Broncos to the NCAA tourney the past 2 seasons. Fun fact, he coached with UNO assistant Dave Noel Bernier with the Grand Rapids Griffins and the Detroit Red Wings during his career. So I'm sure our associate head coach is very familiar with the leader of the Broncos. So, Bridge, do you have any players that you're keeping an eye on this weekend up at Western Michigan?
I sure do, John. Thanks for asking. So Western Michigan has 3 Hobey Baker candidates who are all very prolific goal scorers. You've got Dylan Went, who has 34 points. He scored his 21st goal in that matchup with Denver last weekend. You also have Sam Colangelo, who has 17 goals and 14 assists for the Broncos, and Luke Granger, who has 9 goals and 28 assists. He's quite the setup guy for Western this year. And like I said, all 3 of them are on the Hobey Baker candidate list.
Absolutely right. This is a team that for the last, several seasons has been known as an offensive juggernaut. They like to score goals. That's their game. So should be very interesting. In net, former UNO recruit, senior Cam Rowe has logged all the minutes in net for WMU this season, which is crazy to think about in Division I hockey and in a tough conference like the NCHC. But he's logged all the time between the pipes. He has a 2.31 goals against average and a .912 save percentage. So should be a very interesting series for UNO in the rough and tumble confines of Lawson Arena up there in Kalamazoo.
Cam Rowe has certainly been the stalwart goal for Western Michigan. He's 1 win away from 50 wins in his career, and he'd be just the 4th active player in the NCAA with 50 or more wins. So let's not give that to him this particular weekend, but he's certainly going to be a key if he is in net for Western this weekend.
Bridge, I've got to ask you, what's your prediction for this road swing up in Kalamazoo, Michigan? Do you think UNO is going to split? Do you think they're going to sweep? Do you think they're going to get swept? What do you think is going to happen in this key series at Western?
Boy, this one is a really tough one. I'd love to see Omaha go into Kalamazoo and just, take all 6 points, but we know from experience how hard it is to play at Lawson Ice Arena. So I'm going to say that the Mavs split with the Broncos. I think that we lose a close one on Friday night and then get a win on Saturday night. I would not be surprised if it's another 1-goal game. We've seen a lot of those this season from Omaha, and that's where I think that it'll shake out. What about you?
I think it's going to be an interesting matchup too. Like you, I'm picking a split. I think it's going to happen a little bit differently. I think we're going to come in fired up after our big sweep of UMD this last weekend. I think UNO is going to get off to a really good start on Friday night. I think Simon Lacosi is going to have a good performance in net. I think Saturday night's going to be one of those games that's actually going to end up being low scoring. It's going to be held down the stretch. You never know what'll happen. I'm assuming we'll see Simon in net, but we might see Seth Isley depending on the outcome and what the goal differential is in that Friday night game. And then I think UNO ultimately ends up losing on Saturday night. So I'm picking the split, just the opposite of what you're picking, just to be a little bit different. Should be fun to see what happens. Always an exciting series up there at Western Michigan, a team that's going to be in a scheduling pod with us next season when Arizona State joins the conference. So we're going to be seeing a lot of them the next couple of seasons.
And it's going to be another top 20 tilt this weekend. The Broncos have actually been ranked in the top 20 since October of 2021, and the Mavs have slowly and surely been creeping up in there. So should be a great weekend at Lawson Ice Arena. One thing that we didn't talk about, John, is the Broncos are celebrating their 50th anniversary of varsity hockey this season.
That is awesome. You're absolutely right. I did notice that logo on some of their video clips that they have on YouTube. So that is very, very cool. The games will be at 6 p.m. Omaha time this weekend, both nights. Both games, of course, will be streamed on NCHC TV, and you can listen to the games on 1290 Coil here in Omaha, and you can listen anywhere on the Varsity Sports app. Of course, Mike Valancourt and Terry Leahy will have the call bridge. And as always, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook, where we will have updates throughout both of those games. And you can find links to all of our social media on mavpuck.com, as well as links to back episodes of the Mav Puckcast. But until next time, Bridge, go Mavs.
Go Mavs.